I really don't feel like streaming today, but I've gotta. But this is something I have to do for myself. This is something I feel like I need to do, like in order to make myself feel better, because video games have always been an escape for me. It's always something that I enjoy doing. I thank God for video games. I thank God that they exist, which is kind of weird to say. I know, because like, why are you thanking God for video games?
I've got to hurry and save Elise.
Because because they exist. They've they've helped me get through a lot of really tough times. But honestly, yesterday was pretty rough. Well, it started off pretty okay. It was a Oh my goodness. Like it started off not bad. Like it was just a regular day on the job as usual. Uh, for context, I work in a seafood restaurant, and lately I've been working like a lot, which is why I haven't been streaming very much. Last week, last week, well, up until last week, I worked six, no, 10 days straight because I was doing people some favors. At first, we had an inspection coming up. Then somebody wanted me to work one of their shifts,
Go ahead and push the gate switch so he doesn't get out.
and they were supposed to work my shift, which they did. And then I ended up having to work somebody else's shift on the day that I was supposed to be off. So that right, actually, you know what? I should start naming the days, right? To make it make more sense. Wednesday. What date was it? It was 2 Wednesdays ago. I had to go into work. I'm usually off on Wednesdays, which is why I normally stream on Wednesdays. And the general manager wanted me to work that Wednesday because one of my coworkers is a very slow middle-aged woman. Like she moves about as fast as a tortoise. So I was like, you know what? I completely understand because she is incredibly slow. Sadly. Um, so I worked that day. It was a pretty stressful day because we had higher ups watching our every moves, doing cavity searches on the whole restaurant. I just I hate that just happened. So it was it was kind of a stressful day. And then one of my coworkers wanted me to work her shift, which was that following Thursday, because her son was graduating from whatever grade he was graduating. Jeez, that's never happened before. Oh my goodness. Um. Anyway, so I worked her Thursday
That was
shift,
incredible.
and I asked her if she could take my Friday shift because I wanted a day off. So she did. I had Friday off, and then the general manager texted me and asked me if I could work for another guy that Friday night or Saturday night, whichever I decided to choose. I chose the Friday night because I don't really like working on Saturdays, and it just crashed, didn't it? So at that point, I was just like, dang it. All right, I'll work the shift. I really didn't want to work the shift, but I don't mind helping out. Get to work. The dude that I'm working for is there. He's about to leave, and he asked me if I could work his Saturday as well, and I was just like, okay, I guess. I didn't actually say it like that, but I was like, okay. But in my head, I was just like, bro, why would you ask me that? Why would you ask me that? I don't have any. I mean, he doesn't know that. It's not his fault. I could have said no, but I decided to do him a favor, and I did. So I worked that Friday, and I worked that Saturday. Um, I have. I'm usually off Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and all three of my off days were gone, which means that I wasn't going to be off until that next Wednesday, which was last Wednesday, which means that I worked 10 days straight. And when I finally had last Wednesday off, wait, that's not what I meant to say.
I've got to hurry and save Elise.
I didn't even feel like doing anything. I was so exhausted from working every day. It's just like forget about streaming, forget about playing video games, forget about everything. Like I don't feel like being productive at all. And that's pretty much what happened. That's why there wasn't a stream yesterday. I mean, yesterday. There wasn't any stream last week. I did have my off days. And then when Friday came around, the guy asked me if I could work his Saturday again. And in my head, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. Again with this crap? Like, how much graduation stuff does a guy need to do? So, I just got finished working 5 days straight. Because I didn't have Saturday off like I'm supposed to. And I really don't mind helping out. I really don't.
Whoa, that's a big one.
Um, I help out because that's something that Jesus would want me to do. I try to work as if I am working for Jesus, and and a lot of times that is not very easy to do. It doesn't feel like I'm serving Jesus. It feels like I'm serving other people. It feels like I try to be as selfless as I can, and sometimes I just want to be selfish. I help people out, and sometimes I want to be helped, even though I don't expect anything in return. That's how I want to live my life. I want to live life selflessly. I would like to get back to my schedule, my regular schedule this week, if as long as nobody asks me, I did not mean to do that. This running animation is weird. I was going to ask one of my managers, hey, is there anywhere I can like stop working in the kitchen? By the way, I have like 3 positions. Busser, barback, those are my 2 main positions. I cook on Monday nights. And I was thinking about not doing it anymore because I don't like the idea that I'm one of the few people that are certified in my position. And if I needed a day off without any shift trades, what the heck? That that I couldn't do that. I needed to trade shifts with somebody in order to get that night off. And that's not something that I was very fond of. I didn't really get to tell her that, at least not yet. I do plan on saying something about it. Oh crap, okay. ooh, my controller's tweaking. Okay, what if I press F5? But that was bothering me because a similar situation happened. Well, that happened to me a lot over the course of my career working at that restaurant. Because back in 2022, we had a huge busser drought. There were not enough employees. I was working 6 days a week, and some of those mornings I was working by myself. It was awful, and I dealt with that for a good 4 months. Oh my gosh. What is happening? Okay, I tried. And about 5 months ago, back in October of last year, I got really sick. Like, very, very sick. There was actually a Sonic Expo somewhere in Dallas that I really wanted to go to, and I didn't get to go because I mean, because even if I wanted to, which I did, I couldn't because of how sick I was. I didn't feel like doing anything. Went to work that following Sunday. Still felt really sick, but I was surviving. And then that Monday, my condition seemingly only got worse. I was moving very slow. I didn't feel like doing anything. And then I tried to go back to work that Tuesday. And I still felt almost just as bad as I did that Monday. Now, the difference is Monday is my only busser shift. And because Monday is my only busser shift, and considering that we have more bussers than barbacks, it was easier for my it was easier to get my busser shift covered. But getting my barback shift was completely impossible. And the reason why is because there's barely anybody in that position that knows how to do it. In fact, there are only 2 people that know how to open as a barback, which are me and another lady. And that lady could not help me out that morning. The manager tried to call some people and get them to come in for me, and nobody came in. And I guess he just gave up. I ended up having to work that shift, that Tuesday shift, and it was one of the hardest shifts I've ever worked. It was one of the longest shifts I've ever worked. Now, those shifts are usually 7.5 hours, but that shift actually felt like its length. In fact, it probably felt even longer. Now, I've worked a lot of long shifts. I've worked 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 15-hour shifts, and yet somehow that shift felt like the longest ever. Now, he did get somebody. The manager did get somebody to ask somebody if they could come in like 30 minutes early, which their shift begins at 4, so that would mean they would come in for me at 3:30. So I'm at the bar trying to survive, and nobody is. I'm trying to survive this shift, and the bar is the busiest I've ever seen on a Tuesday. It happened to be the day that I was really sick and I was forced to work. Like, it just It just couldn't be an easy day. It had to be extremely busy, and it was packed at the bar up until around 3:30 when my replacement was supposed to get there. 3:30 comes around, he doesn't show. 3:45 comes around, he's still not here. 4 o'clock comes, okay, maybe he's going to finally get here at the time that he's scheduled, but he was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. This nigga is still not at work. Why is he not here yet? At this point, I'm exhausted. I can't even stand anymore because of how sick I feel. I've got to sit down every 10 minutes. I feel horrible. And this guy is late. 4:10 comes around, and he's still not here. My fellow bussers are gone, and I'm still at work, as sick as I am, still waiting for this guy to get to work, and he's still not there. The manager calls the guy that's supposed to replace me, asks him, where are you at? Because because at this point I'm begging them to let me go home. I can't do this anymore. I need to go home. So the manager calls the guy, and he said that he just looked at the time and realized that he was late.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
At that point,
They ask you how you are, you just have to say
I
that
was
you're
just
fine
like-
when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never
the next time I
understand.
see this guy, I'm gonna kick his butt. Because I did end up feeling better after that situation, which thank God I got through that. I did feel better after that situation, but it's the fact that I couldn't even go home because of how sick I was. I have another coworker that gets sick so way more often than she should, and she gets to go home, gets to call out every time she gets sick to the point where she can't work. And yet here I am, as sick as I am. The one time I get sick, and I don't get sick often at all, I am forced to work against my will. Do you know how much that sucks? The fact that I was forced to work in a condition that I couldn't. It makes you want to dive off a cliff like Sonic is about to. Yeah, I'm definitely not making that. Like, how is that fair? In no way, shape, or form should that be allowed. In no way, shape, or form should that be okay. What do you mean there's nobody that could help me? What do you mean that I've gotta deal with it? I don't even think that's happened to any other employee other than myself. So fast forward to about a couple of months ago, I think this was back in either February or March. Probably March. I had just got finished with my, well, I wasn't really finished with my Sunday morning shift. I ended up having, well, they asked me if I could work that Sunday night because somehow, for some reason, they did not have a bar back that night. And seemingly there was nothing that they could do about it. Because we had just lost a bar back after he decided to quit because he cut his hand. So I guess I don't know if I offered or they asked me if I could work that Sunday night, which means I would have been working a double. I didn't really want to do it, and one of my coworkers that I'm cool with says, "Hey, make a deal." So I tried to make a deal. Get work Sunday night, get Monday night off, and from the looks of it, they seemingly could not do that. And it doesn't seem like they even tried, because much like there's only a few people certified in being a barback, There's only a few people certified in making salads, which is what I do. And there's only 2 people that work at night, me and another lady. And that lady, she works 6 days a week. And I only work on salads 1 night a week. So I already knew that asking her was out of the question because I would have had to trade shifts with her in order for her to have a day off. I knew that wasn't going to be fair to her. One of the managers decided to ask anyway, but I knew she was going to say no. So not only did I have to work a double Sunday, I also had to work a double Monday. They told me as of now I will be working a double on Monday. They did try to offer me Monday morning off. That was a crappy deal. I was not going to do that. I would have been better off just working the whole day, like I usually do on Mondays now. It was so lame for them to give me that deal because that was not a good one. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take the morning off only to have to come back at 4 o'clock. That's not going to happen. So I ended up working both doubles. And by the time Tuesday came around, I was exhausted. So I was just thinking about those 2 situations. And I'm just like, why do I have to go through this? Why is it that when I need help? Why is it that when I'm trying to get a shift off without any trades, I can't do that? It feels like this is a me problem. I I feel like this happens to nobody else other than me. But that's just so frustrating. To be the only one that's able to help out, but when you're the one that needs help, it feels like nobody's got your back. If I need a shift off, they can't take my shift because they don't know how to do what I do. There's not enough people certified in my position to be able to help me. I get no compromise. And that's frustrating. I didn't even want to work Monday night because of how much I've been working lately. I didn't want to do I didn't feel like working in the kitchen anymore because of how much I was working. And yet I still managed to get through it. Thank God I was able to get through it, and yet I somehow didn't get through this. How did this even happen? It's a frustrating situation, and I really need to speak to a manager about this. One of the managers asked me if I could help weigh some lobsters. Now we usually get lobsters every Monday, and one of the dishwashers usually weighs the lobsters on every Monday. I know how to weigh the lobsters because somebody, because the guy asked me if I wanted to learn, I guess, or for some reason he wanted to show me. So yesterday he asked me to weigh some lobsters, and I was like, all right. He said whenever I got a chance. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to weigh the lobsters until after my shift was over and my replacement got there. Because before I could get away from the bar, I had to restock. I had to I think that's the only thing I had to do. Now, by the time I finished in the bar, it was already like almost 4:30. So, when I finally was able to weigh the lobsters, which was around 4:30 or 4:45 actually, I did not get done until right after 5. And when I finally brought the lobsters out and I was going to take them to put them in the tank, that was when I realized that both my fellow busters were gone. I felt a certain way about that, but I understand. They wanted to go home. I wanted to go home. I did not want to weigh lobsters. I shouldn't have been the one weighing lobsters. The dishwasher, was supposed to be doing that. He's supposed to do that on Mondays, and he didn't do that. So the next time I see him, it's on site, because I was ready to go home and I couldn't go home because of that crap right there. So I was very angry about that because of how much of wasted time that was. I was supposed to leave with those people. I was supposed to leave with my busters. They weren't supposed to leave me behind. Or at least that's how I felt. Like, I hate the feeling of being left behind. Because I had extra stuff to do. Like, it reminds me of my school days when I would be the last one to leave the school. Or one of the last few people to leave school. It was the worst feeling in the world, being stuck at school while everyone else got to go home. And that feeling still sucks, even now as an adult. Also, I was supposed to go to the store yesterday and get some food because I didn't have any food at home. Well, I did have food, but it wasn't enough for my mom and me. So I had to go get some more food. But because it just happened to rain yesterday and I didn't even realize that it was going to rain, I could not go to the store, which means that I had to go home. The fact that it rained yesterday was the breaking point. That was my last straw. Because what do you mean it rained yesterday? What do you mean it's raining? I need to go to the store and it's raining? It has to rain right now? And it wasn't even raining at 4 o'clock. I had an entire hour. I'm supposed to be off at 4, and I couldn't even leave at 4. At the latest, I could have been gone at 4:30, but no. I had to weigh those freaking lobsters. And because I had to weigh those lobsters, and everybody else got to go home, that left me behind, and I lost so much time at work that I couldn't go to the store and get food. At that point, I wanted to break something. I want to curse violently. I was so angry. I was really, really angry. And I don't know where that anger came from. I don't know if it was because I was exhausted from working all the time. I don't know if it was because I was through compromising for people, for incompetent people. Where's the switch? Where's the switch? Hit the switch, dude! So I finally got in my car. I didn't have anything to break. I couldn't break anything. I didn't want to. I was tempted to use profanity because when I get really angry, I go on these very profane rants. It is definitely not Christ-like. It's It is a sin that I'm trying to die to. And I was trying not to curse yesterday. I probably let out an F-bomb, but I didn't. But I didn't use it repeatedly. I wanted to break anything, but I didn't, and I couldn't. I couldn't, and I didn't, because I'm not. I don't want to be the kind of person that becomes so angry that he has to break something. I never want to be that person. That's why I don't throw my controllers when I get angry at a game.
Elisa's train is. Uh-oh. Gotta
But profanity was used to be my replacement for that. It's like I felt like I had to do something. So as I was driving home, I started screaming violently. I was screaming at the top of my lungs as high as I could because at that point I just did not know what to do with myself. So I just screamed. I just kept screaming like a maniac because my car is the only place where nobody can hear me scream. I can't scream at work. I can't scream at home. So my car is the only safe place for screaming. Um, and when I parked my car outside my driveway, I didn't even go inside my house immediately because I didn't want to carry that anger into my house. So I just felt defeated at that point. Like, I tried my best to live for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Uh, I tried to be, I try to be like Jesus. Um, as best as I can. I'm not very good at it. I'm not going to pretend that I am good at it because I'm not. But it's so hard sometimes. And yesterday was pretty hard. I'm so I felt so fed up with work up until yesterday. And even now, as on my off day, I like even earlier before I started the stream, I was feeling frustrated because of some things that happened today. Like there's no escape from. It's like there's no escape from hardships. There's no escape from annoyances, pains. Like as a Christian, you kind of have to expect that. That is something that is to be expected. Streaming is therapy for me. Being able to come on here and play video games, and even if nobody sees this, even if nobody watches, I can still come on here and talk and say whatever I want or need to say, and nobody can stop me from talking. Nobody can shut me up. And I think that's a blessing that comes with being able to do content creation. That's like one of the biggest reasons that I enjoy doing this, even if nobody watches, even if I don't have an audience. And I'm always going to pray. I'm never going to stop praying because I know that God can hear me. I know that praying is probably the best thing that I can do because it helps me grow in my relationship with God. Because praying is talking to God. And I'm always going, because no matter how I'm feeling, I need to, I know that I always need to pray to him in all the good things and the bad things. And even though I still think about it, like even though it still hurts how I felt, I know that God still has me. Like no matter
I think I can knock that structure down.
I don't really know what I'm saying, but I know that I'm never truly alone because I have Christ in me. It's hard being, it's just hard to be faithful sometimes. But I'm going to continue to follow him no matter what I go through. Because I know that he will never abandon me. I think that's all I really have to say about that. It's been a little rough, but I'm going to be okay.